ਓੰਕਾਰ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਵਾਰ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਭਗਉਤੀ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀ 10ਵੀਂ। ਪ੍ਰਥਮ ਭਗਉਤੀ ਸਿਮਰ ਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਲਈ ਧਿਆਏ। ਗੁਰ ਅੰਗਦ ਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਮਰਦਾਸ ਰਾਮਦਾਸੇ ਹੋਈ ਸਹਾਇ। ਅਰਜਨ ਹਰ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨੂੰ ਸਿਮਰੋ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਹਰਿ ਰਾਏ। ਸ੍ਰੀ ਹਰਿ ਕ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਧਿਆਈ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਡਿਠੇ ਸਭ ਦੁਖ ਜਾਏ। ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਸਿਮਰਿਏ ਕਰਨੋ ਨਿਤ ਆਵੇ ਧਾਏ। 10ਵੇਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਪੰਥ ਦੇ ਵਾਲੀ ਸਭ ਥਾਈਂ ਹੋ ਜੀ ਸਹਾਇ। ਦਸਾਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਜੋਤ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਪਾਠ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਦੀਦਾਰ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਧਰ ਕੇ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਇਹ ਨਿਮਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਣ ਨਿਤਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਤਾਣ ਨਿਓਟਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਓਟ ਨੇ ਆਸਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਆਸਰੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਕਰਨ ਪਿਤਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀਓ। ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਹਜ਼ੂਰ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਹੈ ਦਤਾਰ ਪਿਤਾ ਜੀਓ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਆਗਿਆ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਸਾਈਬਰ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੁੜਨ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੈ। ਸਰਬੱਤ ਮਾਈ ਭਾਈ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਮਿਹਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਹੱਥ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਆਪ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਾਉਣੀ। ਅੱਖਰ ਵਾਧਾ ਘਾਟਾ ਭੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕ ਮਾਫ ਕਰਨੀ। ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਜ ਰਾਸ ਕਰਨੇ ਸਹੀ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਮਿਲਣੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਵੇ। ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਤੇਰੇ
ਪਾਣੀ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਕਾ ਭਲਾ।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Hanji, Vaisakhi Khalsa, Vaisakhi Fateh ji. This is Ravinder Singh connecting with you from Columbus. Sardar Charan Singh from Bangalore, I believe, was to be our moderator today, but evidently he's caught up somewhere. Might join us later, might not, but nonetheless, we want to get the proceedings sort of started. As far as I know, we are going to go back to the second party. We are talking about haumai and Hukam, haumai in particular, I believe. Harvinder, please keep me straight. I'm not sure where we were because I missed the last ones.
Hanji, I think we covered the haumai last time, and in last session we tried to cover what is meant by bhujna and how hukam bhujan naal haumai cut hundi hai. So we wanted to continue on that topic. Hukam nu bhujan ਨਾਲ ਹਉਮੈ ਘਟ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ?
And can you help me with who all is on the panel today? I can see Dr. Ajay Singh, I can see Chawla Sahib, I can see Sardar Baghel Singh ji, I can see Dilpreet Singh ji, I can see Amarjeet Singh ji. Who else is on?
And Paramjit Singh Rana ji.
And Paramjit Singh Rana
Could you also tell us where each person is from?
I wish I knew. Maybe I can try.
And you named them all right, but if when you name them identified maybe the color of the turban or something that can make a connection. Who's who?
I don't see colors across every, but we'll try. We'll try. So I've got
somehow, in other words, somehow make the connection with the name of the person.
Okay, let me go down this list once more. Ajay Singh ji from North Belmore, and then we have Chavlavi ji. Can you introduce yourself? I'm not sure where you're located. Okay. We'll come back to him. And then Sardar Baghel Singh ji, as far as I know, is in India, unless he's come back to New York. Uncle ji, kitte hai tusi?
In there as well.
Okay. Hanji.
रविंदर जी, हरपाल सिंह चावला जी, वाई खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह। संगत नो दास मुंबई तो है जी?
अच्छा, okay. Harpal Singh Chawla ji is from Mumbai. Baghel Singh ji is in India, I believe, somewhere in India. Not sure where. Dilpreet Singh ji is here in Columbus, Ohio. Paramjit Singh ji, Rana, I don't know your location. And then I see Manpreet Singh ji, I believe he's in Philadelphia.
Hanji, that's right.
And then I have, of course, Harvinder Singh, who's based out in Boston. And then I've got Amarjeet Singh ji, whose location is still unknown to me. Amarjeet Singh ji, if you can hear this, can you respond? Okay.
Can't hear him.
He might be on mute without knowing it.
Yeah.
So in any
Maybe
case,
Ajax in Toronto, Canada.
he's in Toronto. Acha ji. All right, very good. Let's get started then. So from what Harvinder Singh has told me, we have discussed Hukam and haumai, and where we want to go today is to focus on the term bujna ya bujhe and Hukam nu bujan naal haumai kiਵੇਂ ਘਟਦੀ ਹੈ. That's the sort of the question in front of us. And with that, I'm going to reach out to Sardar Baghel Singh ji to take a couple of minutes to lay the setting and to express, his views. Baghel Singh ji, would you mind starting? Harvinder, I don't know whether he's on or whether he can hear me.
I just unmuted him.
Okay.
So Ravi Singh ji, can you hear us?
Oh, I can hear you. Just a minute. Just a minute.
And sure.
Can you hear me now?
Hanji.
Yeah. Very well.
Can you hear me?
Hanji.
Okay. Right. Now, you see, hukum pachana, hukum janna. Normally, if we, those of us who have been, what all of us have been, पंजाब ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਿਰੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਕੁਝ ਬੁਝਾਰਤ ਪਾਓ ਨਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਯੂ ਗਿਵ ਮੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਟੂ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡ ਦੱਸੋ ਵੀ ਕੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ what does it really mean how it is ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬੁਝੋ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਸਮਝੋ so this, what it means is really is that what is it that it seems to be a riddle which we should understand so that is bujna so ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੁਝਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੇ it is been called pachata bujna pachana the matlab hunda hai recognize that there is something is already there and that is to be recognized pachana bujna to samjhna so that is how we should look at it now Guru Nanak Sahib in one of his shabads says ke hukmi aya hukum na bujhe hukum sawaran hara ke ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਹੁਕਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਹ ਹੁਕਮ ਨੂੰ ਬੁੱਝਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ he does not remember it does not know ਕਿ ਭਈ what that ਹੁਕਮ is and but without the ਹੁਕਮ that is ਹੁਕਮ ਸਵਾਰਨ ਹਾਰਾ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕਰਨਾ put something on the right track transform something into the proper requirement that is ਸਵਾਰਨ ਹਾਰਾ so ਜੇਕਰ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਸ ਹੁਕਮ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝੇ ਇਸ ਹੁਕਮ ਨੂੰ ਬੁੱਝੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਨੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ and that also Gurbani says very clearly ਕਿ ਉਹ ਹੁਕਮ ਤੁਮਾਰਾ ਸੁਣੀਏ ਇਹਾਂ ਹਰ ਜਸ ਤੇਰਾ ਬਣੀਏ ਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਿਸ ਵਕਤ ਕੇ before birth the soul was given the ਹੁਕਮ and ਅਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਨਾਲੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਨ ਹੁਕਮ ਪਛਾਤਾ ਰੱਬ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਾ ਤਿੰਨ ਭੇਦ ਜਾਤਾ ਜਿਸਨੇ ਹੁਕਮ ਪਛਾਣ ਲਿਆ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਹੁਕਮ ਸਮਝ ਲਿਆ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਸਮਝ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਖਿਆਲ ਆ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਏਗੀ ਕਿ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ what does ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ want me to do what is it how ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ would like me to lead my life so ਇਸ ਹੁਕਮ ਨੂੰ ਬੁੱਝਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ that is how I understand it
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ thank you let me move on to Ajit Singh ji would you like to continue this train of thought
Sure, I appreciate what Ravi Singh has said. I would, if I were to pick an English word for it, I would say how to decode the hukam. Samajhna is to decode it and to own it. And perhaps it has two elements to it. One is the intellectual understanding, and two is the understanding that transcends the intellect. Something like that. I'll let somebody else explain it. So there are two levels. So we need to understand that, and then we'll move on to haumai.
Okay.
And how and the ways to understand, ways to decode the hukam. That
Okay.
first, I guess we'll have to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Dilpreet Singh ji, do you want to go next?
Hanji ji, the literal meaning, how I see this is that is to understand, and then it is the self-realization or self-understanding, which only you can get. Like if we are solving a riddle or solving a problem, once we have a self-realization, and then I think Bani takes it to the next level, that it is Bhujna is the self-realization and self-implementation. Now, in the context of this body, right, if we just limit our thoughts to this context where Guru Nanak Dev Ji is mentioning this, he is saying, Hukmi hovan akar, hukam na keha jai, hukmi hovan ji, hukam mile badiyai. So he is giving the examples that everything is getting created under his hukam, and then what we are getting, what anybody is high, low, or what we get, or everybody is born under the hukam. And this is his style to explain things. Then at the end, he is also saying that hukme andar sabko bahar hukam na koi, by giving some examples. Then he is saying that everything is under the hukam. And now he is saying, Nanak hukme je bujheta haumai kahe na koi, that the only person who gets the self-realization or who starts implement this will not do haumai, or will his haumai will go away. So it is the self-realization of the understanding of the existence of God which will take our haumai out.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go next to Sardar Amarjit Singh ji.
It is for the first time that I'm coming on here. What I can understand from the discussion is about haumai. If we remove haumai, then only we come close to realization. Nanak, one who understands his command, does not speak in ego. That means we have to understand the ego. And to understand the ego, I think two topics for the last 2 weeks. Just understanding is not complete. It's the reason being, understanding is the main thing. Which when we cross the riddle, is only once we understand, then we will go to the realization part. Hukum saaj hukme vich rakha, hukme andar vekha, Nanak agu home tutta, taako lekha lekha. So home to todna jada, this is what I am going to understand from you people. Okay, for the last 2 weeks, study has been done on this topic. So for me, I will listen more. Thank you.
Ji. Thank you. Thank you very much. Paramjit Singh ji. Okay. Manpreet Singh ji.
Hanji, I think it has been very well said so far. Just wanted to add, I think there was a comment on by Ripu Daman Singh on the this discussion, and he was referencing Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Sri Rag the Shabad Eko Naam Hukam Hai Nanak Satgur Diya Bujhai Diyo, which is very similar to Jo Hane Bujan Di Bari Jo Gal Ho Rahi Hai. So it's the same. It has the same essence in that. So I think it has been already covered for and I don't have much to add then.
Okay, very good. Harvinder Singh, do you want to add anything?
I think it is pretty much covered by Sardar Raveer Singh ji and other panel members, that so once we realize that what we are doing is not what we are doing. We are doing under Vaheguru's command, and then we should not ever think that we did something good and then we are trying to do something. It's always when we realize that this is part of the hukam. Everything we see around us, everything we do, everything. So, but we should not take it as a negative sign too. That we should not say that if we're doing something bad, that is also under hukam. That will be under our karam. So on that, I think I will request more clarity that how we want to make sure that we should not try to take it also on the negative side and blame that this is happening because of, like, that is also under Hukam, that I did something bad.
Okay, Harvinder, we can certainly set this question aside. What I'd like to do is address the question that you had proposed at the start, which was Hukam de bujin nal haumai kime kat diya. So in the first iteration, what we have done is we have tried to unpack the meaning, the etymology of the word bujja, and then what I would like to do is go next to, you know, kime kat diya, but I think we've gone through one round
I think
talking about.
we missed Chawla ji on his.
We did. I'm sorry. Chawla ji, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, Vijay, not at all. Vijay, Satguruji says that on understanding this command, man will not say that
May I sort of request you to focus initially on the word bujja? I think we want to all come to some, get on the same page as to what bujja means, and then we'll carry the conversation forward.
Bujja means like, as everybody has covered, I just agree with them. Like, it's a just to understand and then self-realization. So when we will come to know this, and then this is the way we will understand ਹੁਕਮ, ਔਰ then ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੇ ਲਾਈਕ ਇੱਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਹੁਕਮ ਹੈ। then ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਆਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਇੱਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਹੁਕਮ ਹੈ, ਨਾਨਕ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਦਿਆ ਬੁਝਾਏ ਜੀਓ। ਤੇ ਆਸਾ ਦੀ ਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਨੇ ਆ, ਹੋਮੇ ਬੂਝੇ ਤਾਂ ਦਰ ਸੂਝੇ।
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ। So I just want to quickly recap. I think we are pretty much in agreement. Bujja, you know, as Sardar Ravel Singh ji said, it's koi bujarat hundi hai, some sort of a riddle. So it seems to me that what is the way to look at it is perhaps to suggest that this is you're decoding, as Ajay Singh ji has said, something that perhaps is hidden. So the way I understand it is not something that appears to be what it is. So you have to get behind it. So now the question becomes, okay, what exactly is it that we are trying to bujja? Because Chawla ji's just said, you know, he quoted a tuk from Asa Diwar, where it seems to me that the suggestion is to try and understand the nature of your haumai, and yet we also are trying to somehow decipher hukam. So I want to start the second round of discussion around, are we trying to, the question that I'm trying to throw out there is, and I'm making this up as I go, are we trying to decipher hukam? Are we trying to understand haumai? Are the two related? And if so, how? And again, specifically, I would ask the panel to address, when we say that hukam is something that Vaheguru wants us to do, or understanding what is it that I'm supposed to do, as Sardar Baghel Singh has suggested, then my question would be, and this is for all of you, is hukam in the form of a specific action, or is this some sort of an understanding of how the order of things is around me? So, you know, when I mean specific action, does it mean that I need to figure out, oh, well, I should become a carpenter or an engineer or a doctor? I mean, is it as specific as that? Or is it something broader? So with that, I'll go back to Sardar Baghel Singh ji.
हाँ जी, इस तरह जी कि जिस हुक्म और उसमें बुझना जड़ा that we were saying, is this that इंसान भूल जाता है कि उसमें करना की हैगा वे, what am I here for? See, because हुक्म is quite straightforward, जो गुरबानी में थां से चीज़ आती है कि तो आपने जो पाया सिर धंधे लाया, ਦੇਖੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਸਰਕਤ ਕੱਚੀ ਪੱਕੀ ਸਾਰ ਜਿਓ। ਤੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈਗੀ ਏ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਨੇ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਮਝਾਈ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਦੇਖ ਤੇਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਿਛਲਾ ਜੀਵਨ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੂੰ ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਅਸਲ ਦੀ ਵਾਰ 'ਚ ਬੜੀ ਸੋਹਣੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਕਿ ਅੱਗੇ ਕਰਨੀ ਕੀਰਤ ਵਾਚੀਏ ਬੈ ਲੇਖਾ ਕਰ ਸਮਝਾਇਆ, ਕਿ ਸਮਝਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਆਤਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਦੀ ਤਰਫੋਂ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਹੁਣ ਨਾਓ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਬੀਇੰਗ ਰੀਬੋਰਨ, ਯੂ ਆਰ ਬੀਇੰਗ ਸੈਂਟ ਟੂ ਅਨਦਰ ਬਰਥ। ਤੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ what is it that you should do? No, one thing should be, I think we are all clear in our minds that all this is metaphorical. There is no God sitting there on a throne and or a Dharamraj or anybody giving us any instructions. These are metaphorical, and one has to be clear in our minds that this really amounts to our nature that we have developed so far in our lives. So वो काल इस वास्ते फिर इस वक्त गुरु साहब कहते हैं कि हुक्म ही आया हुक्म न बूझे, ते उस हुक्म ने तन दसिया सी अकाल पुरख ने कि तू की करना है, हुक्म सवारण हारा। ये हुक्म ने वो दस दिता गया सी कि how is it that you can transform yourself so that you are not reborn and merge into the Almighty.
So I have a follow-up question for you, Uncle Ji, if you don't mind. So you're using the word action and kuch karna hai ya ki karna hai aake. Are you, to my earlier point, does this mean कि भी की करना equates to a profession या किमें करना है या किमें जीवन जीना है? What are you alluding to? Can you clarify that for us?
किमें जीवन जीवना जड़ा हैगा वे it's I think earlier we had talked about this, and if I recall, it was mentioned that we have been allotted a role, and what is the duties of that role, they have to be understood, and that they are not difficult for the human being, because this is it's a birth in which the intellect is involved. Other births are not given the intellect. उस इंटेलेक्ट के नाल उस मत दे नाल ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਕੇ and there has to act according to that, and ਉਹਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ we should also please try and understand ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੁਣ ਸਕਦੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ। ਇਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰਸਤਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਚੱਲਣ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੀਜੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਪੂਰੇ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਬੁੱਧ ਬੁਝਾਇਆ ਹੁਕਮੇ ਹੀ ਸਭ ਜਗ ਤੇ ਉਪਾਇਆ ਹੁਕਮ ਮੰਨੇ ਸੋਈ ਸੁਖ ਪਾਏ ਹੁਕਮ ਸਿਰ ਸਾਹਾ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਦੇਖੋ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਕਿ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਕਰੇ ਪ੍ਰਤਪਾਲ ਸੇਵਕ ਕੋ ਗੁਰ ਸਦਾ ਦਿਆਲ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਮਤ ਮਲ ਹੈ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਸੁਰਤ ਮਤ ਮਲ ਹਰੇ ਗੁਰਬਚਨੀ ਹਰ ਨਾਮ ਉਚਰੇ। ਤੇ ਉਹ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰਸਤਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਪਾਉਣੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਹੈ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ, thank you. Let me move on to Ajay Singh ji. Do you want to comment on that? I'm still trying to get an idea of when you say a role, does that include your profession or does that mean a certain way of life? With that, to you, Ajay Singh ji.
Yeah, instead of repeating what has been said, let me come at it from a slightly different direction. You know, the Gurbani is really telling us about the human, very puny, very small place in the scheme of things that operates on the laws of nature that you call Hukam. But that's a different story. But that little bit of haumai that becomes the driving force of our lives, how do you put that into its proper place? And I think the only way to do that, to my mind, from what little thing I read, is the line in Gurbani that tells you, "Aap gavaye seva kare ta kich paye maan." In other words, like taking a little bucket of, or a spoonful of ego, and putting it in an ocean, a ocean of values that you live by, where it loses its identity and yet remains. So to me, that is the way to destroy haumai. That is the way to uproot it out of your life. That is to put it in its rightful place in life. And that's the way I
So,
look at it.
so you're suggesting two somewhat contradictory things.
Yeah, of course.
Putting it in its place and destroying it.
No, I shouldn't say destroying. Put it in its place in the greater scheme of things.
In the proper perspective.
In the proper perspective. I said a little cup full in a bucket or a bucket in an ocean.
Not necessarily destroying
what you're talking about.
Not
and therefore not destroying it, putting it in its rightful place.
Okay.
It does have a place in life.
Yes. Okay, very well. We'll come back to this. Thank you.
And that to me is the way for bhujna, or to understand not just intellectually but beyond the intellect as well.
Yes, indeed. It seems to me that the bujharat here is to understand the true nature of haumai and how it operates in your life and how you live through it.
It defines the self as well, you know. So there's an essential part to it.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it involves understanding its structure, and if it has one, that is, if it is not all delusional. But nonetheless, let me go to Dilpreet Singh. Dilpreet Singh ji.
Ji, I have been struggling with this question for some time, and how
You're not the only one.
So how I tried to find some answer was, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਨੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਹੁਕਮ it is ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਹੈ. Now we also need to go back and see that ਜਿਸ ਤੇ ਹੁਕਮ ਦੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, what is the ਰੱਬ ਦਾ ਸਰੂਪ, what is his ਸਰੂਪ defined by Guru Nanak? Guru Nanak ਦਾ ਰੱਬ ਕੌਣ ਹੈ? So when I tried to look at from that angle, now नौमे पातशाह कह रहे हैं, ओहप में जैसे बास बसत है, मुकर में जैसे छाई, तैसे ही हर बसे निरंतर, घट ही खोजो भाई. फिर अगे गुरु ग्रंथ साहब इज वेरी क्लियर, कहते ईबे बीठल उबे बीठल, बीठल बिन संसार नहीं. And then it goes on, there are many examples which we can find. So first if we can, it says sagal banaspat meh besantar, sagal doodh meh kiya, ऊंच नीच में ज्योत समानी, घट घट माधो जिया. So once we understand the sarup of Paramatma, and then I think it will be easier for understand that what is hukam is. So if Guru Nanak is very clear that there is nobody who is sitting somewhere or who is in one different place, then this question will die automatically, that is this an instruction or is this an order coming? Because Guru Nanak is very clear that there is nobody who is in one place and giving the order. So now it comes, once we understand that part of it, Rabda Swarup, if it is clear, then his hukam will be clear. So then I see it that how this haumai will go with the hukam. So haumai is again composition of two ma's. It is ha and ma, means again ma and ma, or I and I. So once we see that Rabda Swarup, once we get it as per Guru Nanak, and then if we look back into it, we understand it that we are a smaller part or a very smaller player in this whole. And now if we try to understand how the game is being played, and we try to play our role in that game in accordance with the game, that's how our haumai will go. We will not take the credit for what we are doing. We will try to pass on the credit to the real creator. And then as Harinder Virji said that the karam karan di khul hegi ya, so we will discuss that next, that we will not blame it also. So that's how I see it, and I strongly feel that first we have to understand ki Rabda Swarup, who is Guru Nanak's God, then only we can understand his hukam.
Thank you very much, Dilpreet. I think you bring up some extremely significant points here. The fact that we should, in fact, turn to try and understand the essential nature of Rab, as you've said, and to think of this Rab as being the essence of all existence, homogenized in its own existence. And I think it points to the need for us to understand the natural order of things around us, and to try and understand our relationship to it, and then to see how to play that role. And I would like the others to comment on this, but you make a very important point. Let me move on to, let's see who's next on the list.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I'm sorry, who is this?
Well, this is Paramjit saying, I was trying to get my microphone working.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, good. Okay, just wanted to know that whether I can hear you, but I was not able to speak to anybody. So anyways, that's good. I'm able to join in. Thank you.
Okay. So I don't know, I got thrown off my chain of thought here. But anyway, let me go to Manpreet Singh Ji. Manpreet Singh Ji, do you want to add to the discussion?
Naiji, I think for me it is whatever discussion is, it's very clear. If you are able to identify ourselves or this group of Vaheguru which is everywhere, and then in relation to that what we are doing, it was a very profound point. As you also said that there were good points raised, so I really appreciate that, and I identify resonate. Those points really resonate, and they help clarify some of the things and in the right context that if we are able to see that relatively, then we will not say that I am doing anything because I'm just a small part of what's happening, and remove that ego.
Harvinder Singh Ji? Not there? Ajit Chawlaveer Ji from Mumbai? I guess he can't hear me either.
I think we have Amarjit Singh Ji and Paramjit Singh Ji still left for this.
Amarjit Singh Ji said that he is in listening mode, if I'm not mistaken.
You're absolutely right.
And Paramjit Singh Ji, Rana, I think has come on. Would you like to comment?
Yes. Can you just please rephrase the question we are trying to respond to? I just joined and my microphone was not working and I was running around here.
Does someone want to repeat the question? I forgot what it was. What was the original question? I'm sorry. We've gone off several branches here.
Right. I can help you if you want to.
Okay, please.
See, the question is that how this understanding or bujna of hukam reduces our haumai.
And in fact, if you can start with your sense of what bujna is, and you have 2 minutes to do it.
Okay, Ravinder Singh Ji, first I think you asked earlier question. I am from Canada, so I live on this west coast of Canada.
Okay, you still get 2 minutes though.
Okay, no, well, it's a very interesting question. Bujna is, I think somebody was saying earlier, it is a self-realization, and self-realization of what? Of it is first, before we can self-realize something, we need to know what we are self-realizing, and it comes back to we have to have the understanding of hukam. Before we talk about bujna, we need to understand what hukam is. And my take on that, whether that's the question or not, but my take on that is we are living in two different realities. One is spiritual reality and other one is material reality. And hukam is an accountability mechanism which controls and help move along in this material as well as spiritual world. So I still believe, I think somebody, maybe Dr. A.G. Singh mentioned last time, or somebody else mentioned, that is a cause and effect, that these are the laws. Hukam is basically a set of laws. God is not sitting there micromanaging it. He has created this universe and has set up an accountability mechanism. And this hukam is, in my opinion, the accountability mechanism, cause and effect, that is uniform, consistent, and invariable. That's my belief on that.
Thank you, Ji. Have I missed anybody here? Okay, very good. I think some theme is emerging on which we're all I think the convergence seems to be, and that is that we need to view Hukam in its proper perspective. We need to understand the essential nature of Akal Purkh Waheguru as contained in the Mool Mantar, which will then in turn tell us that there is no individual sitting out there. There isn't a single command center. There is no central point from where these commands are being issued. The fact is that the universe or existence, if you will, all hangs together very intimately, and that we are parts of that very universe, parts of that very nature, and so we hang with it. And the essential thing then becomes, you know, how do we become parts of this larger whole in a way where we are in fact moving Hukam forward. So having said that, I want to open up again to Sardar Baghel Singh Ji if he has any follow-up comments based on the discussion he's heard, and then we'll go down the list and then come back again. Baghel Singh Ji, would you like to follow up with follow-up comments on what you've heard after you made your initial observations?
You see, we are, you know, we are talking of many things here, and one thing which one speaker at least has talked about, that you talk about hukamai, what I call hukam. This is a particular thing which, you know, you raised this question to say that is it that something specific I'm supposed to be doing? Is my haumai involved? Please, let us please understand one point, that the very basic fact that we take rebirth is because of haumai. It is because we have not followed divine commands. We have not followed hukam that was given in our previous birth, or that is when we're talking about human birth, because all other births have or gone through, and only then the human birth is achieved. So in the human birth, if one does not follow the hukam and goes by haumai, so haumai means Quran Sahib made quite clear. Nanak hukum mein je bujhe to haumai kahe na koi. Haumai will not be there if we understand but haumai follow that hukum. So the very fact, in fact, Gurbani Mantar khaton jamme khaton neme. We were born because of our past mistakes. Otherwise, we will not be reborn into another life form. So, ये सारी जितनी चीज हैगी है, we please understand that haumai is मैं, I am, I'm important, I have this authority, I have the money, I have the strength, and all that, and I will carry on my, you know, I do not want to talk about God. So people say, मेरा दिल सच्चा साफ है, मैंने गुरुद्वारे जाने की लोड़ कोई नहीं, मैंने गुरबानी पढ़ने की लोड़ कोई नहीं, मेरा दिल सच्चा है. This is ego. So we have to submit ourselves to say that yes, we do not know. We go to seek the sanctuary of the Almighty. That all that it means is that we submit to what the Almighty desires us to do, and then the haumai will automatically go, because Dr. Singh has last time had quoted this thing about haumai tir rog hai daru bhi ismae, कृपा करे जे अपनी तो गुर का शब्द कमाए. जिस वक्त ये कृपा हो जाए सच्चे पातशाह दी, एंड वी कमाना का मतलब वी कैरी आउट कि गुरु का हुक्म जो इस बार वी कमांदे हैगे, वी फॉलो द इंस्ट्रक्शन गिवन बाय द गुरु, then we'll be able to understand the hukum and overcome the haumai. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Ji. I think Ravinder Singh Ji got disconnected, so I think we will move to Ajay Singh Ji.
That was a very comprehensive presentation, Raviv Singh ji. And therefore, two choices. Either one can deliberate on many of the issues that you raised, or one can sidestep them all. So let me sidestep them all. That's the easiest way for me to get out of the dilemma. And I would say to you that the only way to get that me and my and I, me and my outside, get it out of our thing, that is the purpose of grace and kripa. So that whatever you get or do or triumph, you don't say, I did it. So you can say, well, that was a matter of grace. No. Whatever happened is good, and that becomes hukam. And the only way to do that to my mind and to therefore understand things is to I don't want to use the word drown or bury, but your ego in something bigger than the self. In other words, to identify something that is bigger than the self and lose yourself in it. Aap gavaye seva kare taan kich paaye ma. No, something bigger than the self. And when you put that little drop in something bigger than the self, then the identity of the self, becomes as part of the bigger picture. And it's no longer me, myself. That is lost in the totality. And I think that is the idea. And that is the only way to cure it or treat it or to discipline it or to use it effectively. That's how I look at it. I hope that's confusing enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Dilpreet Singh ji, any follow-up thoughts on this conversation?
Right. The conversation is going right, if I am understanding it, that there is a pre-order given at the time of birth and then the rebirth or regeneration. I don't see that our Guru Nanak believes in rebirth, or is there any pre-order which is given. I think the pre-order meaning is that there is a predefined laws are there which have been defined for us and which are not going to change for us, and that is what the pre-order Guru Nanak means. And on the rebirth also, I think Gurbani is very clear, like kaun muare kaun mua brahm gyani mil karo vichara, ye to chalat pe aa raha ho. And then it says agli kis khabar na pai, that nobody knows what happens after that. So I think rebirth in Gurbani is that what we do here or what we create or what we leave behind is our rebirth.
Okay. Thanks for that observation.
So I have a follow-up question to Dilpreet ji. So I know you said that जिस तरह कौन मुआ रे कौन मुआ अगे दा नहीं पता उस तो बाद, but many होने जिस तरह रवेल सिंह जी दस रहे सन, there are so many references where we do have this notion of rebirth as well.
So Manpreet Singh ji, can I just interrupt here for a second?
Sure.
And now I want to be a little careful that we do not get sidetracked from this particular discussion. Now there has been mention of rebirths and so on, but that in itself is a rather large discussion that I think we can, for the moment, consciously put aside, because I don't think we have either the time or certainly the inclination to get into that particular discussion. But Dilpreet has raised some points that obviously have to be addressed in the light of what Siddhar Baghel Singh ji said. But I would suggest to all of you that we defer that discussion for now, if that's okay.
ठीक है जी.
Okay, thank you. So let me now move to Chawla Virji in Mumbai.
जी विजय, विजय, he who has understood his command, his feelings of self-importance is erased. Our fondness was not there, but we were, but we were born. We not select our parents, feature and appearance. Whatever has been bestowed by God should be accepted wholeheartedly. And very importantly, I has to be erased, and then tu hi, when we accept the you, so that will solve the purpose. At Guru Nanak ji said tera tera tera, and then Gurbani ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਆਂਦਾ ਹੈ, जब लग मेरी मेरी करे तब लग काज एक नहीं सरे, जब मेरी मेरी मिट जाए तब प्रभ काज सवारे आए. Then where I erase you springs up there. Bhagat Kabir ji says that Kabir तू करता तू हुआ मुझ में रहा न हूँ, जब आपा पर का मिट गया जत देखा तत तू.
So I want to bring this up to the panel. I think we use words quite loosely, and that can sometimes lead to some confusion. Now, Chawla Biji used the term, he talked about erasing I and just say you. And the first thought that occurred to me was, well, how could you say tu without being conscious of I? So perhaps we need, to Ajit Singh's point earlier, maybe it all lies in the perspective, I think it seems to me, because you can't do anything without having a sense of I. And so maybe we can talk about this later, but let's finish our conversation here. Who have I missed now? Who else is on the list? Let me see. I think I've pretty much covered everyone.
I think we missed Paramjit Singh.
Paramjit Singh Ji Rana, I apologize. Nothing against Canadians.
No, I know Americans very well, though. Anyways, I appreciate that. No, I think the points are well taken. My only concern, or at least my own confusion, is that we are saying that we have to do this thing, we have to do good things, and we are talking about hukam, that it's all up to us, our ego has to come down. But if it's so easy to have a mental transformation, everybody would have achieved that one. So although we are seeking that our ego should be down, we should be doing this thing, but the problem I run into is why we are not able to do it. Then the second question which comes to my mind is, we all are sitting, 10 people sitting on the table, and 20 might be outside there too. Everybody has a different personality. Everybody is born with different nature. Everybody has different intellectual capabilities. What is the reason why we are born with that differential personalities and nature and all that? So when I go back and look at that, I think there is something which we don't understand, or we try to ignore it, the past karma and the future karma. Any action we take, there is an effect. Action and manifestations are there. Whether those manifestations are realized now, or those manifestations are collective result of so many actions we take, it's such a complex scenario. But my belief is that anything what we do, we have to be accountable for that. If we do close to our death, for example, what happens to that? Are we just let go of our actions? My belief is, yes, there is an afterbirth and there's a past birth, but we don't have, because there's so much lag in between, we are not able to see that. But if actions we know and the consequences we know, we will be very accountable, we will doing the things. So my confusion is, why all this disparate
you got cut off. Can you repeat yourself?
What I was saying that
your last thought. I think we lost.
So different. Is it we are bringing from our past actions, or what? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay, I could not actually hear you fully. So I apologize, but I think
is it my microphone, or is it
you're echoing and cutting off?
Okay, it could be.
But be that as it may, we want to defer conversations around past births and rebirths and reincarnation and transmigration, what have you. I think we're also about 5 or 7 minutes away from the end of the hour, so I'm not sure that it's appropriate at this point to bring that discussion up. At some point we will and we should, because this is a very important subject. Comes up all the time and we can't ignore it. It's the big elephant in the room. So since we have 5 minutes left, I am going to open this up to the panel and ask them individually if there is anything specific around the first two Pauris that we've discussed so far, if there is anything that they would like to comment on. Vigel Singh ji, would you like to offer your thoughts on the discussions that we've had so far, up to the second Pauri? Anything that stands out in your mind that we may have missed and should have discussed, or if you feel that discussion has gone along pretty well and that we are making progress? Anji. Arvinder, is he there?
Can you push रहे हो?
ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਰਹੇ ਜੀ.
अच्छा, sorry. And I think we've now covered the various aspects, and but there was one, I think, dissenting note by, I don't know who the gentleman was, about whether Guru Nanak believes there is a rebirth, and where Guru Nanak believes there is something in it. I would very earnestly request to study Gurbani and say again and again, we are told, Jamman Marana Aman Jana. That is, there are two things. Jamman Marana Aman Jana. But death is of two types. One is that we keep committing faults all the time. That is called the spiritual death. And we make resolutions to say we'll do something, but we don't do it. We go to the Gurdwara, learn something, and say we will follow it, but we are unable to follow it. That is the spiritual death. That is the succumbing to temptations or getting involved in short-term pleasures or aims. And the second one is the physical death that takes place. Now, जिस वक्त ਅਸੀਂ कहते हैं कि बहुत जन्म ते माधोर ये जन्म तुम्हारे लेखे ते ये ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਿਸ ਵਕਤ ਭਗਤ ਰਵਿਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ we do not want to believe that there is a rebirth. So I think we need to bring study Gurbani and with an open mind. I'm not saying that you agree to what I'm saying. With an open mind to say that is there a rebirth, and a rebirth is again after all there are so many species, so many life forms that exist, and
no, your point is well taken, and my hope is that we are all here because we want to learn, and I think that all of us are obviously very interested in Gurbani, and your point is exceedingly well taken. The only thing is that I think that we are not looking for any uniformity of opinion, and I think people have diverse ways of interpreting Gurbani. But thank you very much. Ajay Singh ji, how about you? I know you're there. So I think he's either on mute or is choosing to remain silent. Okay, Dilpreet Singh ji, just final comments. We take about a minute.
Anji, I think the discussion is going very good and it is a good learning experience. What I was thinking while we are discussing, that if we can keep our discussion limited to the Pauri or the lines which Guru Nanak is using as a reference and keep it precise to that, I think that way we can move faster. And then how to understand the hukam and all those things, again in Japji Sahib it will come that what we have to do and how we have to do things and how Gyan will help us, like Jat Pahara Tirasanyar, we will get there. So somehow if we can limit our discussion to the previous lines, that way we can move faster.
Theek hai ji, the point well taken. Is Ajay Singh back? He's back.
Yeah, am I back?
Yes, you've popped up again.
Should I
Yes.
say something?
Yes, I tried to reach
Okay.
out to you, and you.
I think I touched the wrong button on my cord here.
That always happens, touching the wrong button.
I was saying that much of the fetus does not know of the life that will be on this earth, and none of us remembers what the fetal life was like, so we can't connect to the past and we can't connect to the future. So to my mind, we have to live our life the way it is. The hukam is governing the life that we live. And the little bit of will that we have is for the life that we live. Not because of what happened in the past, and not because of what the future will hold. There isn't a hell or a heaven as I see it in the model that Guru Nanak made. I think part of the problem is that much of the teaching is metaphoric, the language is metaphoric, but the teaching is grounded in the Indian culture of that time. And you cannot divorce the teaching from that culture, but not to take it literally. The Guru doesn't tell us to take it literally, and we'll hopefully talk about it another time. And when we do revisit it, it's guaranteed that nothing that we say will ever completely satisfy us all, or
Yes,
any
indeed.
of us.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Point well made. And to that, I will add that indeed this is grounded in the culture of that time. The language is metaphoric, and so therefore not to be taken literally. But I would also say this, that we also, with time, need to shift our own orientation. So we obviously, we do not think like the culture of that time thought. So just as in physics, we've had to change our mindset from Newtonian physics to quantum physics. Similarly, we need to have another framework to look at Gurbani, and I'm hoping that that's where we're going at. Thank you very much. Let me go to, yes, Sardar Paramjit Singh Ji. Rana, do you want to add?
Hanji, well, you said that what we have done in the first two Pauris. My only comment is that we are trying to understand Hukam. And Guru Sahib made a very remarkable statement right at the outset of Guru Granth Sahib Ji, when he said, "Kif syara hoye ki pure to tepal hukam rijai chalna nanak likhana." Okay, so when we were talking about syara, my concern was that before we talk about Hukam, Hukam was spoken in relation to independence to the word Syara, that we can say Syara is a good person, what to become a good person, but we have to unravel that mystery. What are the challenges in becoming Syara? If we can understand the challenges, why we are not Syara, okay, then we can understand the implications of Hukam and what Hukam really implies. So I think when we talk about Sachara in the first two points we are talking about, you wanted a comment on that one. My concern has been that we have not unraveled the mystery behind why it's so challenging to become Sachara. I'm not afraid of enlightened people. They are true Sacharas. I can rely on that. I'm not afraid of criminals because community can stand up and defend me against the criminal, whether it's a Hitler or Stalin. But the problem is you have a problem with me, or we people are not Sachara because we are 24/7 Sachara. That's not part of our habits. We are Sachara in the morning, but not in the evening. So I think once we try to unravel that mystery, we can have a better understanding of the word Hukam. Vaheguru Ji Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Fateh Ji.
Thank you, Ji. Manpreet Singh Ji, you've been with us since the outset. What's your feeling? How are things going?
I think they're going pretty good. I did miss a few when the first party started, and almost to the end of this one. I just started to come back because of other things that were going on. But I think the discussion is progressing in the right way, and I really enjoy some of the other aspects, and I do really want to look forward to clarifying how should we perceive these some of the concepts in a different light than what we have been usually told to. So
Sure.
I look forward to having those discussions and clarifying some of the doubts I have in my mind.
Thank you, thank you. Amarjit Singh ji, Toronto,
Yeah,
I know this is your first time here, so welcome.
only want to say thank you to the panelists. It is very informative. But to my mind, it was we have to discussing bujat, hukum, and now we are understanding both things. Hukum no bujna, home no bujna. That is what I got it from you. Hukum always prevail. Any action from our side, I
Haji,
think the intellect is not sufficient enough,
Haji,
but
Haji,
only Guru Kripa na hoega. And
Haji.
I will love to join you again whenever
Please do.
the time comes. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you
you,
to
ji.
all the panelists.
Thank you. Thank you for the comments. There's just a couple of observations that I want to make. One of which is I quite understand our desire to seek clarity, our desire to perhaps unravel mysteries. I'm afraid that we may not be able to do that, certainly not on this forum. And maybe we can, I don't know. Some of us might get some epiphanies. But the fact remains we are bounded by two things. One is the time and the format. We have an hour, and we can only talk so much. And two, talking obviously is not going to unravel mysteries. So the hope here is that each one of us will take away from this dialogue and try and start to incorporate within their own experience and their own lives a further understanding and a deepening of their relationship with Gurbani. That really is the key here. The idea is not to provide you with any final answers. I doubt there are any final answers. The idea is that you take away something from here and then deepen your engagement in your life on a day-to-day basis, 24/7 with Gurbani. With that said, we are out of time, and I thank you all for joining us again. Will Arvinder Singh ji kado hai next Sadi?
I think next is Wednesday, but I think we missed Chawla ji for his last
Again,
comment.
I'm sorry. Chawla ji, I'm obviously half asleep. Sorry.
Not at all, Vijay. Today discussion that went very well, and at the end, just my daughter want to say something for a minute, and
Haji.
I'll just quote something on Hukam and Home from Gurbani. I think this will cover that today's line that ਨਾਨਕ ਹੁਕਮੇ ਜੈ ਬੁਝੇ ਤਾਂ ਹਉਮੈ ਕਹਿ ਨਾ ਕੋਏ ਆਸਾ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਵਾਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹੋਏ ਦਿਆਲ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਈ ਕਾਰ ਕਰਾਈ ਸੀ ਸੋ ਸੇਵਕ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰੇ ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਕਮ ਮਨਾਈ ਸੀ ਹੁਕਮ ਮੰਨੀਏ ਹੋਵੇ ਪਰਵਾਨ ਤਾਂ ਖਸਮੇ ਕਾ ਮਹਿਲ ਪਾਈ ਸੀ ਖਸਮੇ ਪਾਵੇ ਸੋ ਕਰੇ ਮਨ ਚਿੰਦਿਆ ਸੋ ਫਲ ਪਾਈ ਸੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਕਮ ਨੂੰ ਬੁੱਝ ਲਿਆ ਹਉਮੈ ਨਾਵੇਂ ਨਾਲ ਵਿਰੋਧ ਹੈ ਦੋਏ ਨਾ ਵਸੇ ਇੱਕ ਥਾਂ ਹਉਮੈ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੇਵਾ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਮਨ ਬਿਰਥਾ ਜਾਏ
Haji.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ
Thank
ਫਤਿਹ
you,
ਜੀ
ji.
Viji,
Haji.
can you allow because my daughter is just sitting next to me, she said she wanted to have something in her mind, she want half a minute.
Sure.
Is it possible?
Half a minute.
Yeah, next time.
Okay. Haji, go ahead.
Vaisakhi ji ka khalsa, Vaisakhi ji ki fateh, everyone. I just wanted to add this that what I understand is that we are all seekers in this world, and our life is like a treasure hunt game. Uh, as we all know, in treasure hunt we have to solve small puzzles and riddles in order to uh, get through the ultimate treasure, and our ultimate treasure will be meeting the God, and we can only reach that treasure if we walk on the right path, and the right path is walking on Guru's hukam or the Guru's divine will, which may have some good things and some bad things which we have to accept on our way. That's it that I would like to add. Thank you, ji.
And what is your name?
My name is Vishafpreet Kaur.
Vishafpreet Kaur. Thank you so very much, Vishafpreet Kaur ji, for this. Yes, amen to that. And I think you should organize a treasure hunt in Mumbai. I'll certainly come. With that, thank you very much.
And I think we are now almost close now. So I think we covered first two bodies in pretty much detail for last few weeks, and we can keep continue doing that on the blog side so that we can unravel more questions. But if everyone agrees, can we move down to the third body on Wednesday in Gawe?
We could.
I'm fine with that.
We could.
Okay.
No matter how much digging we do, the work will
Yeah,
never be done. So we can move on.
it's circular. Yeah, we'll keep coming back. So
Sure. And we will continue the again the discussion on Hukam and haumai on the blog side and keep exchanging the because we have more time and more space there.
and Harvinder Singh, there's nothing that says that we can't come back to these fundamental foundational concepts. So
Definitely. And
yeah.
also sometime I think we said in the outset, in the beginning that it is very widely believed that Japji Sahib is the summary of the complete Guru Granth Sahib. So sometime I think we have to take references from the other bodies, uh, so to make sense of the
Yeah.
lines Japji Sahib. So sometimes it takes more time, and it is taking us more time in Japji Sahib because there are so many important concepts in Japji Sahib that we can't move faster unless because if we miss them, then uh, we will not be able to comprehend the complete message. So that's why we are going slow. But after Japji Sahib, the hope is that once we have the clear idea on the concepts, we may be able to go faster, as Dilpreet Viji said. So I think, so we can close now. I think so.
Thank you. Thank you, Ji. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki
Vaheguru Ji
Fateh.
ki